أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Before the guest speaker starts delivering his talk on addiction to the social, on an addiction to the social media, I would like the brothers to have the comfort of this jalsa, please. So first come, first serve. So if you could come forward, either Amir or the Mr. Gambia, that would be great. So Bismillah. And it is also from the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be as close as possible, apart from the camera, of course, please, because the people need to benefit from this halaqa, inshallah, from this lecture. So please be mindful of the tripod when you are sitting, so that you don't end up kicking something. Okay. So, Brother Waseem Khan, mashallah, tabarakallah, we have been known to each other for over 6 years, alhamdulillah. And in terms of experience, mashallah, he holds more than 10 years of experience in the educational and non-profit charitable organizations, mashallah. And he had been in the leadership role since 2004 as an educational consultant and head teacher in Green Lane Masjid and Islamic Community Center, alhamdulillah. And he was also more recently held the position of Chief Executive Officer, CEO for a non-profit organization, I believe it is Ar-Rahma, in Birmingham, alhamdulillah. And he has been a former member for British Educational Leadership Management and Administration Society for over 6 years, alhamdulillah. Also, he was president of the Association of Speaker Clubs-Yardley in West Midlands, benefiting from leadership skills and training using both empirical and research-based methods. Alhamdulillah, he also has benefited from studying with scholars from Pakistan, Misr, Egypt, and the United Kingdom on various Islamic sciences and utilises his spare time towards inspiring and motivating people, and I'm pretty sure most of you rather, are familiar with his YouTube lectures as well. Being regular khatib and deliverer of talks in various masajid across the UK, he has been benefiting the Muslim Ummah up and down of the United Kingdom, even up all the way to Scotland as well. In terms of his education, mashallah, he holds a master's degree in education from the University of Warwick in West Midlands, and is also completing his master's degree in philanthropic studies at the University of Kent. He is also accredited by the CMI. Those who are in the managerial position might know this, Chartered Management Institute, having successfully completed personal and professional development courses. So without further ado, I would leave the mic with Brother Waseem Khan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to benefit from his lecture, and I would also ask you to keep your phones into silent mode so that you have full concentration to the lecture, as it would be beneficial. Jazakumullahu khaira. Tafadhal.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi alladhi bi ni'matihi tatimmu salihat. Wassalatu wassalamu ala an-nabiyyi al-arabiyyi al-mab'uthi lin-nasi ajma'in. وعلى آله وصحبه من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh Rashid Madani, for a very lengthy introduction, subhanallah. Normally I would have been happy with just Brother Waseem from Birmingham is here to deliver a lecture that you may have come across. Alhamdulillah, but it's the love that we have, alhamdulillah, for each other. The length of this lecture, inshallah, will be taqreeban between 45 minutes to 1 hour. It's a very important lecture. Wallahi, it's very important. And the reason I say this is that this is just not like a lecture where I've got some evidences from here and there. I've actually gone deep into this. A few years ago when I had access to research material at University of Kent, I wasn't supposed to go into this social media, but when you have a plethora of journals and articles that you can explore, I decided to go into social media. What's the world of science and research, and what are all these psychologists saying about the damage that's happening with social media to our brains, our lives, etc. And I was shocked at what I saw. I thought, hey, hang on a minute, this is not only a khutbah on this is also something that can be beneficial to the Muslim Ummah, because this goes against the grain of productivity. It goes against the grain of development, or having a focused mindset on reaching the goals that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us, or we are inspired to go towards, which is to worship Allah and to use the time we have in the dunya to get as much hasanat as we can. So this lecture inshallah will be very beneficial. I broke it down into 4 segments. The first segment will be from a scientific perspective. This is where the science comes into it. What's happening to your brains, your minds, the neuroscience, how they got you all hooked on this. We'll be looking at your emotions as well. These phones here, these 5-6 inch devices, they have an impact on your emotional levels as well, and productivity and all those things. So we'll cover that as the first angle. Then we'll look at it from an Islamic perspective. How does this tie into your journey in life? And finally, I need to give you some solutions. Wallahi, if I don't give you any solutions, you will leave here depressed. More depressed than what's happening with this virus, coronavirus. And even that is an issue, the coronavirus. I think the swine flu at this particular time was similar in 2009. But because of smartphones, not everybody had smartphones. Look at the hysteria and the anguish it's creating in the lives of everybody. Why? Because we've got access to phones and we're jacked into a system which is governing our lives, so much so that we can't enjoy the here and the now, and we are being dictated to based on the media or the narrative or the politics or whatever else that's taking place. So I always begin this lecture by asking the question. You don't have to put your hands up. It's something like a rhetorical question where I want you to introspect your own thoughts and feelings. I don't want you to put your hands up and give me answers. If I was to ask you to pull out your devices from your pockets and give it to the person sitting next to you for 5-10 minutes, and vice versa, the person sitting next to you hands you their little device, how would that make you feel? And again, generally, I don't want anybody putting their hands up. Normally, I can gauge from the responses of the people that they look caught out like a rabbit under headlights, like, hang on a minute. This is the hold that this 5-inch device has on our lives, that just the mere thought of having to depart from this and to give it to somebody else, it's like, hang on, you can take my child, but everything's in this. It has so much of a connection and a hold on our lives that just the mere thought of having to leave this from our possession makes us feel horrified and shocked. So I always begin by some positives when it comes to smartphones, because there's going to be somebody here sitting who's going to say, Brother Waseem, you said all these things, but you can have some fa'idah, there's some benefit. So let's get the benefit out the way first. Like the ulama used to say about the TV many years ago, when the TV came out, everybody said haram, haram. 20 years ago, they said, look, the TV is like a knife. You can use the knife to cut fruit and to benefit in your home economics and your cooking and your meat eating, or you can use the knife to stab somebody and kill them. It's up to you how you use the technology. So let us look at some of the positive uses of smartphones. So we understand that you can have, for example, somebody's doing hifd of the Quran here, in this madrasa here, you have a mushaf, you have a physical book in front of you where you're reciting from, and then you can't carry that everywhere. It's not convenient. So you can download the app of the Quran and you can do your muraja'ah, you can do your revision on the bus in the car, in your bedroom. You don't have to physically get the mushaf out. You can download it, you can go through it. That's a benefit. You can download du'as from the Quran, you can download a hadith. You can have so much knowledge at your disposal where you don't physically have to go around with a book in your hand. That's one benefit. Another one, you have access to knowledge. People are watching now on YouTube and they have access via their phone to sit and to watch lectures, to watch live streaming, etc. That's another advantage. The third, from a worldly perspective, you don't have to go to the banks anymore unless there's an issue. You can actually transfer and receive funds easy, online banking. You don't have to queue up outside shops anymore, Tesco's or wherever. You can do online. You can go to your Debenhams on Google and go to the Debenhams website and pick a jacket or a shirt. You know your size large, you look at the pictures, and next thing you know, it's delivered to your house. You don't have to physically go anywhere. And you can even sell and buy without having any physical premises such as a shop. You can buy, that's what people are selling on Amazon from their homes. They're buying and selling without physically renting any premises. They do it from their houses. They stock up in the garage and they sell things, and it's great, alhamdulillah. But the key thing is, are we really spending our times on the beneficial things that we could have done with smartphones? Let's look at research. Statista. This is what I'm unpacking now. I'm going into the research that I collected and collated. Right? Statista.com is an organization that looks at online behavior. What are we spending our time on? And in October 2018, they did some research to look at the popular social media sites and how many of us actually spend our time on these. The first one was Facebook, and the figure that was captured then was 2.23 billion monthly active users across the world. Think about that now. And I think it's grown. It will be 2.5, 2.6 billion. More than Islam, more than Catholicism. Monthly active users across the world who are spending 7-8 hours surfing the web. Spending so long web or watching YouTube videos of cats playing or whatever, fights or whatever. Spending 7-8 hours surfing. Whether it's in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Africa, Europe, any part of the world, 2.23 billion. Then you have YouTube, nearly 2 billion monthly active users. Then you have Instagram, and you have all these others which get less and less. So this is bringing out some worrying results, because these then do have an impact on your psychology and your physiology. Let us look at what the 6 signs are of social media addiction, again based on research. So the first sign of a person who's spending so long going on these sites, of course there's going to be some damage. When you're scrolling away for hours and they change the metric, and they don't say you're scrolling for hours anymore. They say you've scrolled from here to Scotland and back. You've been on here for 6 hours a day, that they change the metric. They say you've scrolled from here all the way to Paris and back. The first sign of social media addiction is possibly what's happening to you now as you're sitting here, those of you who are watching at home, is that you have a constant urge to check your phone every few minutes, even though there is no real need. So there's a dialogue taking place inside your brain now. There's something saying, put your hand into your pocket, take out your phone, and you will do exactly that. You will take out your phone, you will check your WhatsApp, your whatever. There's nothing, because you're not waiting for somebody to message you. Your wife's not outside saying, look, I'm going to message you, pick me up after the salah. There's nothing. And once you've done that browsing, you put your phone back in, and 15 minutes later, the same dialogue, like a circular loop. You want to put your hand back into your pocket, and you do the same thing again, and there's nothing. That means you're addicted. That's the first sign. The second sign is that when there's no Wi-Fi, for you it's the end of the world. And the best analogy that I always give at this particular moment in time is something that should be the most amazing trip for us. We're not talking about Harrods or Rackhams or Disneyland. We're talking about Baytullah. We're talking about the house of Allah. When you are in the state of ihram, and you go past the miqat, like we see many people, and they are in the ihram, and they are saying the talbiyah, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, and they are in the spiritual mind, in the flow. Yet when they have left the UK, they have taken their SIM out, and they are waiting. When they get to Jeddah, many of them will buy a SIM. When they get to the hotel, they are still in the state of ihram. They go to their rooms, they place the luggage into the rooms, and instead of focusing on the Kaaba and saying, 2 or 3 hours I'm going to go in there, do the tawaf, Safa, Marwa, Maqam Ibrahim, drink the Zamzam, shave my head, and I'm going to come back and then I'm fine. No. They make a run for the istiqbal, the reception, and say, please give us your Wi-Fi password. I've been traveling for 8-10 hours. I need to check my messages, my WhatsApp, my Instagram, my Facebook, etc. That's a sign you're addicted, because even when you've gone, and we've seen many of these cases, instead of enjoying the here and the now, we have to sit down on the sofa and go through our phones, even though we're in the state of ihram. We can't wait and leave that off until we finish. That's the second sign. Third sign, we have to announce to the world what we are doing every hour on social media. I'm here at Nottingham Information Point, Islamic Information Point. I've left. Now I've gone to a restaurant. I've left the restaurant. I'm eating this. I finished eating this. I'm with him. I finished with him. I'm with her. Whatever it is, we have to showcase to the world exactly what we are doing. That's the third sign. That's why you'll see 8, 10, 12 times a day people are uploading. Why they're doing this? I'll tell you later. The science. The fourth one, we wake up in the middle of the night and we have to check the phone. It's impacted us so much that we're not even tired anymore. Subconsciously, the first thing that we reach for in the middle of the night is under the pillow. We pull out the phone and we start going through. In fact, that's the thing we do first thing in the morning. Instead of getting up, Fajr, quick jump, wudu. No, we stay there, lying there, we're going and we're scrolling through. That's the fourth sign. The fifth sign is that you're willing to take the risk. Even if you're working, your manager leaves, you go on. He's gone. Okay, pull out the phone. 20 minutes scroll here. Oh, he's back. Pretend you're working. And when he's gone, a 10-minute here. In a typical 8-hour shift, we are willing to risk an hour secretly going on here. Even if the manager saw us, he would sack us, but we're willing to take the risk. The ulama mentioned this is the break of amana. Sometimes the risk that we are feeding our children is questionable. But we're willing to take the risk. Why? Fifth sign of social media addiction. And the sixth one is this, that whenever you upload anything, you are waiting for the likes and the comments. If it doesn't perform as well as you would have liked, it affects your emotional levels. Hey brother, you were fine a few hours ago. You were happy. Yeah. My post had about 10 likes, but I've just uploaded something else now. I've only got like 1 like, and it's been about an hour and I'm down. That's the effect it has on the emotional levels. So these are the 6 signs of social media addiction. Let's start measuring these against ourselves. Do we have these? Is this phone really worth it? That we are walking around like zombies in that state? Let us look at it from an educational perspective. How does it affect your concentration levels? The Harrisburg University in America, they did some research 2010 on the effect of Facebook. If students were to leave Facebook at home for a week and come to the lecture theatres, how would that impact their studies? Would they perform better or less? Let's look at the results. The results were what? That 25% of the students, that's a quarter, they found that they could concentrate more in the lectures, and 23% found that they found the lectures more interesting, enjoyable, stimulating. Can you imagine what's happening to us on a daily basis? When we are preoccupied with the phone, we're sitting in a halaqa or a dars or within the durus and the majalis, and we are preoccupied. Do you really think we are taking on board or finding the lecture stimulating and our concentration level is there so we can absorb and take in knowledge? No, it's not. In some other research, it's mentioned that if you are doing a very important task, like I'm writing an email or I'm doing an assignment and I'm in the zone, my words are coming out, my flow is there, I know what I need to put in, I know what I don't need to put in, everything's fine, and then I press the self-sabotage button in my brain. My brain says, go on, check your phone, it's been about an hour. You put your hand in your pocket, you take out your phone again, you browse like you want to, and there is nothing there that obviously requires your attention. There's no message to your dad saying, where are you, I'm looking for you, nothing. Nothing on Instagram, nothing on Twitter, nothing on Facebook. Research states that it will take you 20 minutes to recalibrate your brain and your train of thought prior to where you press the self-sabotage button and you went into the phone. So you'll be searching for 20 minutes aimlessly. Oh, where was I? Damn, I can't get it. 20 minutes. Imagine how that destroys our productivity levels on a daily basis. Imagine whether you could be the best version of yourself on a daily basis at work. You could be the best in education. You could be best in Islamic anything, but we press the self-destruct button, we pull out the phone and we go through, and then we're like, oh, where was I? I was reading an amazing passage of the seerah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I was reading the seal nectar. What happened to the Prophet? He was going through a tough time, but I went on the phone and now I don't know where I was. Before, it was like I was walking with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Before, I felt I was in Mecca, I felt I was in Medina, I felt I was part and parcel of the fabric of society. Now, I'm just running around aimlessly for 20 minutes thinking, well, because I went into the phone. So that is the first thing. How does it affect you? Concentration level, it will be counterproductive. The second, your emotional levels. And this piece of research that's found in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology, in a paper that was produced in 2014. This is the most worrying for me. This paper, 2014, was titled, How Facebook Usage is Linked to Depressive Symptoms. Amongst who? The elderly? No. 18 to 24-year-olds in universities. The top 3 diagnoses that they had at university campuses wasn't stress because of where's the money going to come from for my books and my fees? No. It was stress because of Facebook, depression because of Instagram, and anxiety because of what? Snapchat or whatever else that is. Because we have this pressure to conform. We're always on selfies. I need to look a certain way. I need to always go on Facebook, and I'm procrastinating. I'm wasting my time. My assignments are building up. I don't think I fit in with society. I don't think I'm black enough. If I'm black enough, I'm not white enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not short enough. I'm not fat enough. I'm not thin enough. I don't have the type of gear. All these things are being thrown at us from society. And what's happening? Our youngsters are becoming depressed. And wallahi, it makes me wonder, what type of society are we going to be functioning like in 20, 30 years' time? Our doctors, our lawyers, our accountants, they're going to be walking around like zombies because they're psychologically already disturbed. It makes me, wallahi, ponder and reflect, how are we going to be functioning as a society, guys, in 20, 30 years' time? That's something worrying. So getting to the crux, what is it? Why are we hooked on this? Not only this, why are we hooked on games? For those of you who are hooked on Fortnite. Why were people, when we were growing up, when we were youngsters, when we used to walk past the towns, when we didn't have much distraction, we used to see people going to arcade games and they used to put money in and they used to be hooked. So what is it? Let's see what one of the founding presidents of Facebook, Sean Parker, said in 2005, and he's no longer part of Facebook. He said back in an interview in 2005, he said the way we wanted to grip everyone's attention, to make sure that you're hooked on Facebook, is that we want you to focus on the weakness of the human psychology, the vulnerability. How? That every time you get a like, you get a comment, you get an interaction, any interaction, we give you a dopamine hit. What does that mean? Technically you're getting a sweet. I feel good. Dopamine is a part of the brain that deals with the reward and the pleasure system of the brain. And generally, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us is that when you do good and you work hard, you get a result at the end, you get a reward, you feel good. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah has made us in the best form. And the way you do this, for example, you work hard to do hifz. You don't feel good every day, do you? No, you're struggling, you're tired, you're putting in the hours. But then at the end, when it's your ceremony, you feel great. What social media does is that it gives you that feeling of being great every day. You light up when you get a comment, interaction, and you're chasing this fix for the rest of your life. You're chasing that photo of you that did well and you had so many likes that you put another post up, you put another video up, you put another, and you're looking for that instant validation, that instant gratification. That's all it is. That's how I'm summing it up. I don't want to go too deep into it. It's simple. That's what keeps you guys hooked, and me hooked, and all of us human beings. That's how clever they are. That's what keeps that gambling man hooked. When he spends £50 on the coins, even though the jackpot is £20. Why? Because when he puts the pound in, the colours, the sounds, it triggers off the reward pleasure system in the brain. And when he even wins £5 or £10, he comes down, clunk, 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 do, all these sounds. The reward system in the brain is being pushed on overdrive. Neural pathways are being created. What does that mean? A set of behaviors are being stamped in your brain and you are becoming hardwired. You try and leave that, tough, you can't. After a few weeks, the day you don't go and visit the gambling machine place, you're going to feel like a drug addict. The day you don't go on Facebook and put up posts, you're going to feel down. So you're looking and chasing the fix. That in essence is what it is. It's like an addiction. You're looking for the gratification. You're looking for the praise, and that's basically what it is. It's centered around dopamine. And I'll quickly tell you youngsters here, 3 ways that they've got dopamine hooked, or elements that trigger off the parts of your brain that are linked to reward and pleasure systems when you play Fortnite. How? 3 ways that I looked into it. First way, when you are playing Fortnite, it allows you, or it gives you the freedom and the autonomy to choose the player, to choose the outfit, to choose the weaponry. It automatically at the beginning when you play the game, it puts you in charge. Dopamine is pumped around your brain. You're hooked now. Automatically you're given sweets. You're feeling good. Yeah, that gun looks good. That weapon, that clothing, you feel in charge. Second way, they allow you to play against anyone, which includes your best friends. So you're sitting in your bedroom. Next thing you know, Muhammad's come online. Muhammad's my best friend at school. The competitive streak in you awakens. And that's another pump of dopamine in your brain. Something to talk about in Monday in school. Did you see the way I killed that guy? I was the top, the Don. Second way. And the third way, they strategically place every 2 or 3 minutes when you're playing this game, boxes, and the dopamine is being pumped every time you want to break the box. What's inside the box? Is it a weapon? Is it extra energy, extra life? So you are chasing that fix all the time. That's the 3 ways that they have got you guys hooked on Fortnite. And don't be surprised when you are playing the game and your mother says, hey, the food is ready. Mom, I'll be up in 5 minutes. 1 hour later when your mother comes up, the food's gone cold and you snap at your mother because you are transfixed in your game, because it's hardwiring your neural pathways, and you are like a druggie who's looking for the next fix, and you're getting it via dopamine. That's it. That's simple. It is a lot to do with dopamine. Khalas, I won't talk about dopamine anymore. That's it. So what are the side effects of gaming? The World Health Organization has classified gaming when you are playing 6-7 hours a day normally, and on holidays you're playing 15 hours a day on Saturday, Sunday. They say it's a mental health disorder. Mental health. To such an extent, we had an incident in 2011 in Holland. 24-year-old, a man called Tristan, he went into a shopping center and he began to shoot and kill, and he killed 6 people and he wounded 17. 24-year-old guy in Holland. I thought, this guy, when they arrested him, he had no previous criminal record. What's wrong? And when they did his background check, the only thing that he did was play a violent game entitled Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. All it is, you're going around shooting, killing, so much so that it conditions your brain, and then you start to have a world view. You see everyone as a potential target. And that's why I keep saying, like our teachers used to say, if you're not giving da'wah, you are receiving da'wah. We're living in a world of subliminal messaging. Whatever you take in, if you are not fighting it back, your nafs will become corrupted. That's why we have issues of, abuse against women. Why? Because pornography is easily accessible. And when they show a certain narrative, everyone who consumes pornography and views pornography, they have a worldview where they want to go out and they think it's acceptable, it's the norm of whatever they've watched. And then we have these issues of Me Too campaign. He came, he just touched me. I was sitting on a bench, he put his hand, because they begin to see the world in that perspective. Same way we have hip-hop music, when they glamorize violence, when they glamorize misogyny, when they glamorize killing. Why do you think our youngsters, they behave like this and they're going around and they're stabbing people? Because they are being conditioned. So this is very important point to understand, that you are consumers. Whatever you watch, whatever you listen to, you are, if you're not fighting it back with the deen of Islam, you are being like guinea pigs, lab rats. And you are being conditioned. That's a very important thing to understand, that you are being conditioned. So now you know the science, you know the dopamine, you know your neural pathways are being stamped. Every time you don't resist, you're falling deeper, you're sinking into the quagmire. Can you resist? Can you as a human being resist? Let us look at some research that was done on this issue about resisting instant gratification and having strong willpower. It was done by Walter Mitchell back in 1960. And he wanted to find out young children whether they have the ability to control themselves and resist if something was given to them like a sweet. And they were told that, look, this sweet is yours, but if you hold on for 10 minutes and you are patient and you exercise willpower, we will give you 2 sweets. It's called the Marshmallow Theory. Very famous Stanford Marshmallow Theory. So let us see what happened. He brought 50 or so participants. Each room had a hidden camera. He placed each one in a room and he said, what? Sit down here, you're by yourself, nobody else here, here's a sweet, it's yours. But when I come back in 10 minutes, if the sweet is still there, I will give you 2 sweets. Let's see what these youngsters do. Are they able to have instant gratification because they can't help themselves? Or do they have this concept called deferred gratification? Later, I'll resist, I'm going to get something better later. Let's see what happened. The first group, subhanallah, the overwhelming majority, about 30 of these participants, before he even had a chance to turn his back and leave, they picked up the sweet and they gobbled it up. We don't care if you give us a box of sweets. I can't. This is too much here. That was the first group. The second group, they tried to be clever. They didn't realize there was a hidden camera. They picked up the sweet. After 5 minutes, nobody's looking. Licked it, put it back. Sugar tastes nice. When the man came, I didn't touch it. Give me 2 sweets. The third group, subhanAllah, who are a small minority, small segment of the research. Look what they did. And this is what we should aspire to be like. What did they do? Some of them just picked up the sweet and they put it away from where they could not see. A concept called out of sight, out of mind. If you can't see anything that's going to tempt you, how are you going to be tempted? If you're not watching haram, how are you going to do haram? If you're not listening to haram, how are you going to do haram? The other participants in the group, subhanallah, they didn't even bother touching. They just turned their faces away, folded their arms, and they waited. They go, even touching it is fitna. Subhanallah. Now Walter Mitchell wanted to see how their choices that they made affected them in their lives as adults. So he followed them for 30 years. This is the crux of the talk. If you want things now, what's going to happen? If you want to wait and you know that things are counterproductive, you're wasting your time, even though you're getting a fix and a hit with the dopamine, this is what we're going to find out. The first group, they were dropouts at school. They couldn't control, they couldn't stay, expulsion, disciplinary issues. Forget college or university, they didn't go there. They had a very bad or a poor circle of friends, fighting all the time, didn't really have good relationships, marriage, divorce. Jobs, forget about jobs, couldn't hold down a job properly. The second group, they did really well in a sense from a financial perspective, that's what he found. They did well, but they took a few financial hits in life. Maybe it was that gambling nature. They evaded tax or whatever because they had that gambling thing, oh, nobody's going to know, and they got stung. That was the second group. The successful group was the third group. They did well at school, college, university, successful jobs, careers. They had a good marital relationship and a good set of friends that they had from the time of school all the way till they got to their mid-30s. That is what happens when you defer the instant gratification and you want things later. A concept that Allah even mentions in the Quran, وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى, that the akhirah is better, Jannah is better. Pump your brakes. Things might look so shiny and glistening and delightful in the dunya, but they are not. Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir. The dunya is a prison for the believer. For the disbeliever, it's a Jannah. They can do what they like. There's no framework. There's no principles. This is halal. This is halal. This is haram. This is halal. This is haram. But if you follow the Quran and Sunnah, when you die, Jannah is yours. Deferred gratification. But if you want it now, instant you will get, but you will be chasing that fix for the rest of your lives. That's basically what it is, guys. It's up to us. You fall into the first category, want it now, I don't care, it's taking me, I'm spending 8 hours on the phone every day. Or you could be like the third group, I'm wasting 8 hours on this, forget this, I'm going to be spending 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the mid-afternoon, khalas, that's it. I've got a vision, I need to be productive, I need to do things in life. So you need to assess yourselves, what group are you falling in? What else does this social media do? It affects your relationships. How many times have you seen, you walk into a place, there's 6 people sitting in a room and nobody's talking to each other anymore. Everyone is sitting and they're scrolling. Even if you go to a house where the mother, the father, the brother, the sister, everyone's sitting there, but there's complete silence around the dinner table. Subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us as social, like metaphorically social animals. We have to speak. Then He wouldn't have created a voice and a mouth. And for generations we have been doing this. You're at the bus stop, how you doing? It's a rainy day. You want to talk to people, but now everybody's plugged into their own world. Nobody wants to talk to each other. And what's bad, what the worst thing is that what type of world are they plugged into? They're being conditioned. Second thing, it triggers off part of your nafs, part of your soul that you need to be, through tazkiyatun nafs, you need to be controlling anyway. That is jealousy and envy. How many times have you seen people who are showcasing a part of their life which many times isn't true? I'm here on holiday, next week I'm here sitting in a jacuzzi at my house, even though the jacuzzi may be at the gym, and they're showcasing, and everybody who's watching this, they're thinking, whoa, look at his life and look at my life. He gets to go holidays 20 times a year. Look at me, I'm stuck here. What happens over time? You build resentment in your hearts. Even though you say, mashallah brother, you're writing comments, mashallah, deep down you think, it's show off. I can't wait till he loses this. I can't wait till he loses his car, his house, his wife, his family. It's human nature. If the sons of Yaqub alayhi salam were willing, because of jealousy, to throw their brother into the well and say, Dad, we don't know what happened, I think a wolf ate him. Do you really think our hearts are protected? Of course not. And they had the best tarbiyah. How? Yusuf alayhi salam, Yaqub alayhi salam's sons, Who was Yaqub alayhi salam? He was the son of Ishaq. Ishaq was the son of who? Ibrahim alayhi salam. Look at the strong tarbiyah. They didn't grow up in some, na'udhu drug dealers or bad people. Proper tarbiyah. Fear Allah. The angels are watching you. Everything still. Jealousy entered their hearts and they were willing to do that to their brother. What do you think is happening when you are showcasing all the ni'mah that you have to the world on Instagram and Snapchat and whatever? They deep down will be saying, I can't wait till he loses everything. And research points to that as well. That the more you see somebody on Facebook, the more you hate them. This was research done by Nicholas Carr in 2014. That the more you see somebody showing and flaunting, over time you say, yeah, this poser. Get a life, man. That's what happens. And the third thing that happens to your body is because of the lack of the light that comes out from these phones, you can't sleep at night. The melatonin level in your brain diminishes and you can't get up in the morning because the way Allah has made us. Why do you think many of you feel sleepy now? It's only 7 o'clock in the evening. Give you another few months. In May, June, July, you'll be jumping around at 7 o'clock in the evening. Why? The light regulates your body clock. When it gets dark, melatonin increases in your brain. You're ready to go to sleep. So when you're lying in your bed at 10 o'clock, ready to go to sleep, ready to wake up for a productive day in the morning, what happens? You pull this out here, and when you're looking into the screen, it diminishes and it depletes your melatonin level in your brain. And then after 2 hours, even though you have the phone put away, you are tossing and turning and tossing and turning. You can't go to sleep because your melatonin levels are not ready to put you to sleep. Guys, that's what I said, this social media addiction isn't just a talk about, guys, don't spend 6 hours on this. It's coming to you with evidences about how they've manipulated and they've capitalized on the weakness of the human body. And if you don't know, now you know that either you can be productive or you can be a person who's hooked on these kind of things. And the final thing I want to mention before we move over to the Islamic side, and we're halfway through the talk, nearly finished, is the narcissism, the egoism that it generates in a person, because it gives you that platform to showcase and to shout out to the world how great you are. How many times now have you seen people, I'm going to be a legend, legendary, I can't wait when I die, I'm going to leave a legacy. La ilaha illallah. You know, we think because we're getting that instant gratification, we think we've built ourselves up, that we think that when we die we're going to be some kind of legend. Subhanallah. You had Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. They were handing bricks to each other as they were making the Kaaba, the house that's frequented by billions of people since they made this. They weren't saying, oh, pass me the bricks, son. Oh, we're going to be legends. Oh, great. They made this passionate dua. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. Oh Allah, accept it from us. Accept it from us. You are the one who has knowledge. You are the one who hears. Because if you don't accept it, there's no way we are going to be successful. And what do we want? We want the whole world who's following us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to accept. And our niyyah is not really for Allah. I don't want to have, I'm getting that instant fix now, aren't I? I'm going to be great. So it makes the narcissism stand out. Every little thing he does that was supposed to be done for Allah, it's showcased to the world. Hey wifey, wake up. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go and do wudu. You just stand there, hold the phone. Allahu Akbar. She holds the phone, picture, put it on Facebook. Allah has blessed me and chosen me to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to pray tahajjud. MashaAllah, brother, mashallah. And then we got naive people like us, MashaAllah. And then halfway through the day, oh, by the way, I was fasting as well. I'm just opening up my fast as well. Allahu Akbar. Why? Because that person's hooked. But he doesn't realize. And then they become very what? Confrontational. Brother, you're jealous, aren't you? Brother, don't do this, brother. No. Are you jealous? You can't get up for tahajjud? You can't fast? You're nawafil fast? So this is the issue that we have. Narcissism breeds as a result of this. So I've covered the whole science, guys. I hope you understand how you are being exploited. Now let's look at it from a spiritual side. Let us look at it from a philosophical side. Let us look at it from an Islamic side. What's your purpose in life? Think about this. Look at the bigger picture. Do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us without any aims and goals? If that was the case, then we would have been animals. We have a vision, we have a purpose. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have created you for one purpose, and that's to worship me. Live your life according to my teachings, and then you either have Jannah or Jahannam. Eternal. Are we really living our lives in conformance as though we're either going to go to Jannah or Jahannam? Or are we just being medicated by these shiny toys here, and every day we're wasting our times being unproductive? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by time, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr. Allah swears by time, you're all lost. Unless you do good deeds. We want to kill time. How many times have you heard the youngsters say, bro, I'm bored, I want to kill some time? Allah is saying buy time and we want to kill time. Allah tells us in the Quran, اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. The day of reckoning is getting closer and closer and closer, yet we are heedless. So look at this with the coronavirus. Everybody's panicking because they think they're going to die. But imagine if the trumpet was blown now. Look at the panic. This is just like a acid test, really. It's like something to replicate how when we live in our own bubbles of we've made it, man, the Jannah. I can have everything I want, great healthcare, great food, great cars. This is not Jannah. You haven't arrived. We still have a purpose. And when your reality is shattered with something that shows you that you are mortal, you are not immortal, you will die, then we start panicking. That's human beings for you. So reanalyze your lives and come back to the goal of your life, which is to worship Allah. Don't be distracted by these. Don't waste 6-7 hours of your life by this. Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah said, "O son of Adam, you're already 3 days. As for yesterday, that's gone. With everything that was in it, that's gone. You can't bring that back. As for tomorrow, you are not guaranteed. You're not guaranteed the future. As for today, today is the here and the now. Be productive. Earn. Spend your time wisely." So this is something we need to understand, that spend your time wisely from an Islamic perspective. Second issue I want to mention, how many kickoffs do you get because of this? Fights. Because of social media. We get loads. Before 20-30 years ago, if anybody had any altercation with somebody on the street, in the masjid, whatever, generally what would happen, when things would blow over, you see the person the next day, he said, "Brother, I'm really sorry about my behavior." And "Yeah, me too, I had a bad day at work," whatever, khalas. Now, we're waiting, the internet's slow, I want it to be fast out so I can throw that comment, "Who do you think you are? You want to fight? Come and meet me outside." Generally it's like people we know, right? Husband and wife, "Yeah, I should never have married you. Why did I marry you?" And we're leaving these comments which polarize relationships and families. And then the other partner just at night looking at that comment, that's killing them. "I should never have married you. You're the worst person ever." So these things, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyakul khayran aw liyasmut." Whoever believes in Allah on the last day, say something good or stay quiet. That's another issue. And the final issue I want to mention from an Islamic perspective, before we round it off, is we've covered time, your health. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said anyway that there are two blessings that we are normally depriving ourselves from. "Ni'matani maghbunun fihima kathirun minan nas, as-sihhatu wal faragh." That because of our own shortcomings, two blessings we destroy. One is time, one is health. We've covered time. Let's look at health. How many times do we see us, I've done it many times, but I don't do it as much now, that we are promoting diabetes. We are promoting the fast food industry, the trans fatty acids. "Oh, look at this beef, look at this cheesy whatever," putting it up before we even eat. We want to upload it so we can get these instant gratification and validation. Subhanallah. 4 or 5 times a day before we even eat, we want to show everybody the cheese-laden pizza and the sugary drinks, and then we wonder why our 13-year-old kids have got diabetes. Look at this whole binge eating industry. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kulu washrabu wa la tusrifu. Eat and drink, but don't be over excessive. Innahu la yuhibbul musrifin. I don't like those people who are over excessive. Not only are we over excessive, we promote everything. And ethically, isn't that shocking that we are showcasing all this food, how much we've eaten, how many times we go out, how much we've left, and our sisters are going through rubbish bins right now in Syria, in Yemen, looking for where the next meal is going to come from. We are showcasing on Instagram and Snapchat, look at the meal I've had for the 5th time this week. Yet our sisters and mothers are making that decision from the 3 children that I have, which one is going to go to sleep on an empty stomach, or which 2 are going to go to sleep on an empty stomach, and which one do I have enough food to give from the food that I found in the rubbish bin, even though I love all 3 of them equally. That's what's happened to us, and that's why our bubble has been burst with this coronavirus. We're running around, these people, they used to be queuing up like for 2 hours just to go to the toilet, and we used to laugh at the refugees. Look at them queuing up 2 hours for bread, and now we are fighting for toilet rolls. Life is so sacred for us that we fight for toilet rolls, yet when people whose houses are bombed and destroyed, we laugh at them. Oh, look at them, just tramps, aren't they? They're living in tents. We don't want to know them. We don't want to give them any of our sadaqah. So this is something we need to understand, that with this, it's come to bite us. The way we've been showcasing everything, life is great, we made Jannah on earth, and these poor people, it is their dua that has rocked, that has gone to the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and made this happen, this inequality in the dunya that we see. That they have to go through this and we're like, oh, forget about them, and now we're panicking and running around. So this is something that we also need to understand. Final 2 minutes or 3 minutes about solutions. What are the solutions? I mentioned first solution of Allah is this: turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say, Ya Allah, enough is enough. I found out about this beast. I know I have a goal in life, and this has been sidetracking me, sidelining me, this has been brainwashing me, this has been, because I know now why. Brother Waseem's told us the neural pathways are created. I've been hardwired, I've been like an addict chasing the fix. I am not going to go on my phone as much. I have an akhirah that I need to prepare for. Me and my family. I have a family, I need to look after my kids. Give them the tarbiyah, because the messenger said what? Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyyati. That every one of you is your shepherd and you'll be asked about your flock of sheep. I can't just give them tablets and medicate and brainwash. No, I have to take them out. I have to spend time with them. I have to be their best friend. Turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And don't waste our time putting our problems on Facebook. Ask Allah. If you have a problem, turn to Allah. It's better to post your sadness on the prayer mat than to post your sadness on a Facebook status. And why do you think we do this? Again, instant gratification. Don't worry, Brother Waseem, all will be okay. I've got your side. I feel good, dopamine is pumped. Why? If we're sincere about our problems, ask Allah. وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي يَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. Allah says, ask me and I will answer your du'as. Call upon me, do it. We're just quick to pull out the phones, isn't it? I've got a ticket, I've got this, I've got bills to pay, life is difficult, and then everything. Don't worry, brother, hang on in there. We don't ask Allah. So turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, spiritually reconnect with Allah, find out where you're going in life, have a vision, have a roadmap, have some key performance indicators. How am I doing every 6 months? Am I memorizing Quran? Have I done this? Have I done this? Set yourself some milestones in life. And look back at the end of the year and say, have I achieved what I went to achieve? And also, you can download certain apps. This is the irony, that you can use this for good stuff. Download certain apps that help you regulate the amount of time you spend on social media. So one's called Off Time or Break Free, right? Once you download this, you register, you're going to put in a password and try not to know what the password is. Just close your eyes, do it again, and then you don't know, because when you want to go on longer, and you know that it's blocking you, shaitan will say, come on, override the system. So what do? You do that, and then it says, okay, settings. How long do you want to go on Facebook? You say, only 30 minutes a day. Khalas. You go 31 minutes a day, your Facebook will shut down for the whole day. Instagram, how long? 30 minutes. You go on 31 minutes, it shuts down. So make sure you don't know your password, because the shaitan will say, okay, make it 50 minutes. 50 minutes, make it 1 hour. You want to keep overriding the system, so you can download these apps. Second, Spend time with your family. Reconnect with your family. وَإِنَّ لِنَفْسِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. Your body has rights over you. وَإِنَّ لِأَهْلِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. Your family has rights over you. Take them out. Leave the devices in your home. Digital detox. Take them out. Peak District, Lake District. Reconnect with nature. Look at what Allah has created. Wallahi, you will come back re-energized. Why do you think the Anbiya used to be shepherds? Do you think they were like working in the hustle and the bustle of the city life? No. They wanted to get away from the background noise and the distraction of the hustle and the bustle of the souks and the cafes. They wanted to go out and they contemplate about life. What's life about? How do we get close to Allah? We have a mission to get to. That's what you need to do. Reconnect. Go to the rural areas and you'll come back and you will be less addicted to this. And final one is, you can rewire your brain. You know, I was talking about neuroplasticity, that it's all these behaviors that have stamped themselves in your brain, and then you can't live without doing the same thing. For example, if you get up in the morning every morning and you quickly put your phone on, right, and then you go through your phone for 10 minutes, if you do this for 2 or 3 weeks, this will be a habit for life. Because your neuroplasticity, the brain becomes hardwired, but you can change those set of existing behaviors by starting up something else which gives you the same type of reward. How do you do that? Get up in the morning, do some exercise, come to the masjid, pray Fajr. Do something that gives you a buzz, but is not a cheap buzz like this. Something that releases endorphins, makes you feel good. Go for a jog, go for a swim, but you're not hooked on this. Come run some Quran in the morning. And then the day you miss coming to the masjid to pray with Fajr, with Jama'ah, the day you miss going swimming, the day you miss going for a walk in the park in the morning, you will be like a drug addict looking for his next fix. Why? Because your neural pathways have been changed from the existing lying at home and going on the phone to doing some new behaviors and habits that have ingrained themselves into your brain, and the day you don't do that, you'll feel bad. What do you think these soldiers who go and work not work, well, it is a living, it's a work, who serve in the army, and when they leave the army when they're 50, they're just conditioned to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, because for the first few months they're all sleeping and the guy comes in, attention, up, and everybody's up, and for the first few months they find it difficult and they're jogging in the morning, but once the neural pathways have been built, that's a habit for life. And what I'm trying to teach you is this, that change those existing patterns of behavior and have positive patterns that will make you productive. And the final one is, if I had the slide here, I would have showed you that there is a rehab clinic for addiction for social media, and there is a number, and it's a 24-hour confidential helpline. This is the situation that we've got to. The number is 0203 811 5619. If you had a projector screen, I would have showed you. And this is for people who are actually suffering. Can you imagine the type of phone call? Brother, so you don't say brother. When you call this, you say, hi, my name is Mr. Khan, I'm calling you, I've lost my wife, my family, my kids, my job. I used to go on the phone for 10 hours a day, and I've lost everything, I lost my house. And they will just listen to you and they say, oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? Don't worry about this. Like the Samaritans used to be. So this is the situation we face. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really allow us. Yeah, okay. 0203 811 5619. That's the number. It's called the Social Media Addiction Clinic, Rehab Clinic. It's run by UK Rehab. And if people are still struggling and they're still hooked and they want to, waste their life, then you call them and you will see. This is the reality of the situation. You will see what's happening in the world out there. I've given you my best understanding that I had. I shared it with you from a neuroscience perspective, from a instant validation perspective, from a soul perspective, that we want to showcase everything, we want to get that fixed, and all the negative emotions that come out from this. I've told you from an Islamic perspective. I just want to wrap up now, inshallah. Sheikh, how long do we have for questions? 5-10 minutes? Okay, khair, inshallah. We have questions relating to this, inshallah, for 5-10 minutes. Jazakumullah khairan. Let's have some questions then, inshallah. For anything that you haven't understood, with regards to the talk that I've just delivered now, if you want more clarification or anything, inshallah, please put your hand up and I'll try my best bi'idhnillahi ta'ala to answer your questions.
أحسن الله إليك وإلى أهلك يا أخانا وسيم Khan. Before you ask the questions, my brothers and sisters, I would like to mention that the sisters have the mic. If you want to ask the question, by all means shoot off, because you can ask the question directly to our brother Waseem Khan, inshallah. And if you don't have the question now, then we would go for the brothers' question session, please. Brothers, yes, brother Ibrahim.
So the kids now, they don't go on Facebook anymore. It's all TikTok now. So can you just share some comments on it? What you think about the app? Maybe you've got some insight in terms of from a social point of view, TikTok.
TikTok?
Yeah, they are not on Facebook anymore, so.
What's TikTok? I mean, I've come across, is it those videos that are being made?
Yes, yeah.
Like I said, Facebook is not the only time-killing software or app that's out there at the moment. You have this TikTok, you have all these other ones. Me personally, like I mentioned, I am only on Facebook, and that only is for da'wah. I've got no Instagram, no Snapchat. I don't really know what things are going around. I have come across TikTok in a sense that when somebody sent me a WhatsApp video that says TikTok, so I assume it's where you make videos, right?
Videos.
Etc. Yeah. Again, in the cold light of day, have a look. How is that positively impacting your life? If we are wasting 2 or 3 hours to make a video, we put it on there and then we're waiting to see how it performs, and we are emotionally either on a high or a low based on how it performs, and then we're wasting other time to make the next video and the next video, which is cutting across our time on education, your homework, your A-level, your GCSEs, your time with your family. Then from those greater scheme of things, we will then be able to measure ourselves. Is it really worth going on TikTok just for that quick little pleasure? Oh, did you see Waseem's video on, he was doing 100 headers with music on when he became viral? Ya Allah, subhanallah. So I hope the key message that I gave in this is the way the dopamine works, because even with TikTok or Snapchat, what is it that we're looking for? Validation, gratification. We want that next sweet. So that's the key thing I want to try and do. That anything you look at, is it worth it? Getting that sweet and jeopardizing your time from a productivity level. Yeah.
But with those who are watching through the Facebook Live as well, you can ask the questions to us, inshallah. From the sister side, any questions? If not, then the brothers, Brother Amir.
Just got a quick question. You obviously talked about the dopamine hit that you get from gratification. Say somebody, a Muslim, uses social media for da'wah purposes, what implications can it have on that? Does it kind of corrupt the da'wah in a sense as well?
Exactly. Yeah, I mentioned this, like I said, in the first slide or first part of the presentation. Normally have a projector screen. The positive use of smartphones, social media. There are some positive uses. One of them could be receiving da'wah and giving da'wah. If a person is a da'i and is spending time giving da'wah, it could be beneficial. But there are pros and cons to everything. And one of the cons that even some of the da'is that I know who are quite famous, who told me behind the scenes, it even affects them, that they are consumed into, checking all their messages, and it cuts through all of their time, and they've got multiple Instagram and this video. They always have to be on top of these things, and they are also at a loss. And obviously when they also find out that it's to do with your dopamine, etc., they start to know how to regulate this. So it's how you use this thing, this knife. If we're using it to cut fruit, khalas, jayyid, it's good. If we're using it to stab ourselves and slash ourselves, metaphorically meaning it's cutting through our time, even if we're giving da'wah. Imagine if I'm giving da'wah and I'm spending all my time, 8 hours a day, 6 hours, looking at all my videos, all my comments, all the articles that I'm producing, but I'm neglecting my family. My wife's there thinking, come on, talk to me, Habibi. My son's saying, Dad, come on, look at me. And I'm saying, I'm giving da'wah. I'm not giving da'wah. What's the balance? Right? Because this is an instant fix, so we're going to use the religious side to justify our actions. That's one of the big issues sometimes that we have, that we try and use religion to justify our actions, but the biggest mufti is our heart. The heart knows when we are doing something wrong. We don't need any fatwa from a mufti, our heart will know, Waseem, you can't pull the wool over people's eyes saying using da'wah. You're spending 5 or 6 hours on this, you're not speaking to your family, you're leaving your work on the back burner, all you keep saying is you're doing da'wah. So the person knows himself how much of their time is being consumed, even if they say it's for da'wah.
I will come back to you, Ramin. I heard a sister tapping on the mic. Sister, you have your chance to ask the question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah.
How can you manage now, after explaining to all the brothers and sisters about what is the risk of Facebook and Twitter, and even things like, for myself, my children are on the Xbox, so they will go on things like YouTube, and there is things that are very dangerous on the YouTube. Now, for my son, myself, he is very, how can we put it, he's very, if you take the Xbox away from him, he will become very aggressive, which unfortunately for a child at the age of 10, he is at the lower age of learning through life. So, for me personally, how can I, as a parent myself, put the best interest and take stuff like that away from him so he doesn't do bad things in life and then he does haram. So for me as a Muslim, I do not want my son or my children to grow up to do bad things in life, like doing crime.
Exactly.
Yes.
Shukran ukhti. Basically, this is a very common question that we get from people about the amount of time, existing time, that children are spending on these devices, and then they show certain behaviors when you take that away from them, they snap, etc. The key thing that I say is, depending on how much time or how deep they are in this thing, you have to wean off. There is no such thing as taking the device away and expecting the child to. You can't do that. You have to, and it's for all the parents here, slowly, subtly wean off. I don't know everyone's personal situation. Is he on the Xbox 4 hours a day? Is it 10 hours a day? If it's 4 hours a day, slowly wean it off to 3 hours a day. If it's 3 hours a day, slowly wean it off to, by doing certain things that preoccupy his time. Son, let's go to the park. Son, I want to introduce you to a new weekly football club that I think you may do well at. Son, I'm going to join you to a kickboxing class or an MMA class. Anything, or a hifz class, anything that's going to preoccupy the child's time. And generally what happens, this is my experience when I was a head teacher at madrasa, and I'm not saying this is your falls into your situation, but generally what I find as a head teacher is that the normal situation of parents, and I say this quite frankly, is that we tend to use even mosques and things to babysit children, right? Tablets and stuff. So sometimes instead of us rising a bit and raising our games, we say, okay, 3 hours madrasa, alhamdulillah, I can put my feet up. 2 hours on the tablet, okay, I can put my feet up. No, we have to look at productive, innovative ways where we can tap into the children, take them out, come down to their level and engage them. And sometimes we give them these tablets and we send them to madrasa even though there's no real development, because we're not giving them that part of the triangular relationship. You know, madrasa or any in school, the parent, the teacher and the child. If the teacher and the child are doing great, but the parent is not supporting at home, then you will never get the child to do well. And that's generally what you should get the madrasa. Teacher does great, child trying his best, but then child saying to teacher, but you're telling us, Ustadji, about memorizing du'as and reading namaz, but my dad doesn't pray at home. And when it's Maghrib time, he's like, well, it's all gone. The parent has to be physically involved in the tarbiyah, education. So there's lots of things we can do. You can go out to the parks, preoccupy his time and get them away from these, but it's not going to happen straight away, sister. It will never happen in a day or a week. Social scientists mention it takes up to 90 days, 3 months to come off an existing set of behavior habits. So you have to look at ways how you can slowly wean him off and give him other things to do. Yeah.
Yes, Brother Wahid.
So, for the kids who get under social pressure, if the kids going to school, their friends got mobile phones and they've got YouTube accounts.
Yeah.
they upload videos to YouTube. What would be your advice to them? Because they come under a lot of social pressure.
That's right.
And then come back and tell their parents that, my classmate has got the phone. Why I haven't got the phone?
Very good. It's a good question, a very common question. And then if none of you had asked that question, I would have given you the answer to this anyway. Because generally a concerned parent would say, okay, my son is 15, 16, I haven't given him a phone yet because I'm worried that if he does go on the phone, he will have YouTube, Facebook, all these bad friends, etc. First thing we have to do, we have to be rational, we have to be logical. We're not living in the 70s or the 80s where the relationship was different, where dad walked in and everybody's got quiet, like, dad walks in and everybody goes quiet. Or if the son says, I know if I said to my father when I was growing up, Dad, can we go and play football, me and you would have said, you see this here, size 9. Yeah, it was frowned upon. But what we have to do and what we have to understand is that times have changed. We have to befriend our children, and you will have to give your child a phone. This is the reality of the situation. But how he uses the phone is based on your relationship with the child, based on the tarbiyah. Okay? Why does your child need to have a phone? I'll tell you this. Hypothetically, your child is 15, 16. Everybody in his class has a phone. You haven't given your child a phone for X, Y, and Z reason. He is being bullied at school. Waseem doesn't have a phone. His dad can't afford a phone. That's the first thing that's going to happen. He's going to automatically feel left out. So you will have to give them a phone sooner or later, but the way he uses the phone is based on your relationship with your child. Yes, you do certain things. You install privacy settings, right, on certain things on the phone, etc. If he's on Facebook, guess who he gets the first Facebook friend request from? Daddy, right? You're your child's best friend, and you put the necessary privacy settings in as well, and you do all these things and the tarbiyah that you've given your child. These 3 factors will make sure that when you do give your child a phone when he's 15 or 16, he's not going to go crazy. His soul, his nafs hasn't been corrupted because you brought him up in a household where he hasn't been watching bad things on TV, he hasn't been listening. So when he does come across something, he'll be like, yuck, right? You've also got privacy settings set up. And thirdly, you're in sync with him on Facebook and whatever else, because you're his best friend. You can see exactly everything that's going on. And he's not going to violate that trust by opening up other accounts, because it's the type of relationship you have with your child. You have a great relationship with him. You go out, you play football with him, you're swimming, you take him to the masjid. So these things won't happen. So the key message is you will have to give your child a phone when they're 15, 16. If you don't, they will be the most reserved child. You'll see from their behavior. Every time they go into the classroom, they'll feel so small and insignificant, and it'll make them weak, and it'll make them very, so that's something we need to consider.
Barakallahu fiqh.
Just to follow on from that, the 15, 16 age, is that the right age? The reason I asked this question is mine at 12 and 10, but they still say that we haven't got a phone. When do I get the phone?
Even if you give them at 12 or 13, because the rest of the class has got it at 12 and 13, but you don't have to give them the best model. For them, they'll be happy with just basic. But those 3 factors still come in. Your relationship with the child, the tarbiyah, the way you put privacy settings onto the phone, and also do certain things that at home as well. You have certain no Wi-Fi periods as well. So after 8 o'clock, there's no Wi-Fi in your house. He's not going to go on and have a pay-as-you-go account or whatever, because if you're, or have a monthly contract, because you're paying for him, right? You're paying £5-10 a month, for example, as a parent. So you put certain measures in place that he has it and it's beneficial, but he doesn't rely on it because he has access to Wi-Fi all the time, and you're not his friend on Facebook. You don't know what he's getting up to. You got all these systems in place. Yeah.
Barakallahu fiqh, Abu Rabiba. Brother Ramin, please.
If you got something very important to us to show that we got a projector, then my question is this: this is a new addition with Facebook and also social media. But another which is going fast. But also at the same time, how would you compare it? The kids not having access to those things, but they have got access to bad friends, like learning other stuff on the street, like rap and all that stuff, also knife and all that kind of stuff, and crime, knife crime, which has also happened. some of them in some countries, they don't have access to the social media, but they are still committing these crimes. How would you compare that?
Yeah. You know, rap and hip-hop culture and all that, it still is transmitted through social media. Yeah, it is transmitted, because when we were growing up and we were looking, or we had access to, at that time, the web and the internet was there, and you had YouTube and you had certain rap things, that those things were showcasing that, look, there is a nasty world out there, killing, glamorizing, gun culture, etc. So it's all about, again, the relationship that you have with your child. Wallahi, if you know, there's a saying, you give us a child when he's 6, we'll give you a man when he's 10 or 12, meaning, you know, there's a saying I came across, I don't know the exact what you call it, meaning the tarbiyah. There's some institutes who say, you give me the son, or give me a boy when he's 6, I'll give you a man when he's 12 or 13, meaning, what is it?
Napoleon Bonaparte, I think, said that.
Yeah, Napoleon. So it's not Islamic, but it's the concept, the metaphorical concept, the tarbiyah. How are you raising your child? وَالرَّجُلُ رَائِن فِي أَهْلِهِ وَهُوَ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. The messenger said the son, the father is the shepherd, he's the leader of this house, and he will be asked about his household. You got to take the bull by the horns now. Wallahi, guys, now is the time. We have to be proactive. We have to say, you know what, I think I can give my child 2 hours a day extra, easy. I'm going to cut back on my things, I'm going to take him out, and slowly the friendship that you have with your child, automatically his heart will not be inclined towards rap, etc. Because, you know, even the way, the small things, even seriously, maybe it's a bit extreme, maybe not, even things, the way they dress and the way they walk, etc. Even the way you bring them certain dress things, if it replicates a certain culture, they want to start wearing trousers that drop down, say, what? Why? That's not, because that is part of the rap culture, right? But the parent buys the child that when he's 10 or 11. If the child says, I want to have a haircut, it's got lines going through here, it's the parent who gives him that. So the parents is the conditioning, the tarbiyah. So it's the way they shape and mold the child. Then later on when he's 13, 14, I've seen very few cases, yes it does happen, but very few cases where they go off the rails when they've come from a good household and they've been practicing, all of a sudden they start saying, look, I'm going to start rapping and killing and stabbing and all that. No, it's very rare. It's normally when less attention is given to them and the parents say, yeah, go on, enjoy your life, and then start seeing certain behaviors. Yeah, so the tarbiyah of the parents is very vital here.
Barakallah Fiqh. Final question we'll take. First we'll try to see if there are sisters asking the final question. If not, then inshallah we'll wrap it up, inshallah. Barakallah Fiqh. Ya Shaykh al-Brahmistan. Ahsanallahu ilayk. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you immensely for the presentation that you have given us and have enlightened us, alhamdulillah, with the recent researches, alhamdulillah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make these in the mizan of hasanat, inshallah. Allahumma ameen. And brothers, please do not forget to make dua for us as well, for the efforts that we're trying to put for, in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also Salatul Isha will be at 8:15, inshallah. So it's about half an hour left, inshallah. And that is it, inshallah. The refreshment, the tea, coffee and biscuit will be downstairs for you. Please help yourself, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.